Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and I am back with another Say Cheese Christmas layout for my Christmas in July. Today I'm going to be pulling out this sketch from Scrapbook Generation to document some photos of a Christmas parade at Disney World. I have used this sketch many times. I love the fact that it includes 4x6 and 4x4 photos. I am able to get 5 photos on the layout, and I was able to just print my photos at 4x6 and then just cut 2 of them down. These photos are from Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Time Parade, which is the parade for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. That was a lot of words. The sketch calls for the 1/4 inch strip to be kind of the top and the bottom of the paper that's going to be at the bottom of the layout. I next pulled out the black polka dotted paper, and the sketch measurements actually call for a piece at the top and the bottom. The piece at the top is a 1/2 inch, and the piece at the bottom is 1 inch. And then it calls for a strip of paper in the center. Now, I didn't follow the measurements of the sketch for the centerpiece because I wanted to specifically use 1 row of this word paper. It has all kinds of fun words like cheer, joy, believe, love, ho ho ho, magic, and peace. So I just made sure that I cut out 2 pieces that were the same size. Sometimes I do that by adhering the 2 pieces together and then trimming off the excess. Once I lay the word paper on top of the polka dotted paper, it almost looks like the polka dotted paper is a full sheet behind the word paper. Then for the larger piece of paper that's going to be in the background, I pulled out this red paper that has like sketch doodles on it in all kinds of fun Christmas things, like a Santa hat, Christmas presents, candy canes, balloons, fireworks, snowflakes. They're all kinds of fun things that also incorporate Disney just a little bit, like the fireworks as well as the teacup. The paper is 12 inches long, and I did cut 3 inches for the right hand side and then use the rest on the left hand side. I also pulled out my corner rounder and rounded all 4 edges. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I absolutely love having a 12-inch sheet of paper span across the double page layout. I think it really just ties the entire layout together. The polka dotted paper and the stripe paper are cut down to 10 inches. The centerpiece was supposed to cut down to, I believe, like 11 inches. But what I decided to do was just cut off the words that weren't fully words. So the paper really isn't 11 inches. It was just whatever was a full word on the paper. I messed up the paper that I cut down. I actually cut it down to 10 inches. So I did have to cut 2 more strips to make it work for what my envision was for this layout. Once I get all of the papers cut down to the sizes that I need, I then adhere everything down. And of course, you know that I didn't put it down straight first, so I did have to pull it up. I feel like my spatula tool is one of my favorite tools. I use that thing all the time to pull paper up from my layout. As I'm putting the paper down, let me just talk a little bit about the photos and why I include stock photos in my albums, even though I don't necessarily attend these events. Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party is one of my favorite events. I remember as a kid, the Christmas party used to not be a separate ticketed event. And then there was also things like the cast member parties that were very Christmas themed as well. Like they would have a cast member Christmas party. So having these photos are a nostalgia for me. I also feel like the Disney magic and the feelings that I get by looking at Disney photos don't necessarily have to be my Disney photos. I have a big camera. I don't want to take my big camera to Disney World and carry it around all day, especially when I know that there's going to be really great photos on the internet. And the photos that I'm able to pull from the internet are probably going to be a better representation than the photos that I'm going to take. My photos may not be that great, especially since most of the photos that I do take are with my phone. I feel like the photos that I can get online are also very similar to the photos that I'm going to get with my memory maker that I purchase every single year. Since I became a pass holder, I've always purchased the pass that included the photos. When I first became a pass holder, it was a tier system, and I always made sure that I had the pass that included the photos. A few years ago, they changed the system and the passes no longer included the photo pass, but you could add the photo pass to it. I highly recommend the photo pass for anyone who is either becoming a pass holder or if you're just visiting the parks for your vacation. Not only will you get all of the photos that a cast member will take for you in front of the castle or other iconic places at Disney World, you're also going to get your ride photos as well as stock photos. Anytime that you take photos in front of an iconic place at Disney World, there will be stock photos of that icon, like the castle at Magic Kingdom, or Spaceship Earth at Epcot, or in front of the Tree of Life at Animal Kingdom. These photos are gorgeous photos that Disney has taken with a very high resolution camera and has taken these photos when there's no one else in the park. So you're not going to get these types of photos with your cell phone camera or even your big digital camera. So for me, these photos that were taken at Magic Kingdom of the parade are photos that I will never be able to get. I would have to be standing in front of the float in the middle of the parade to get these shots. That is not safe. There is not a single cast member that is going to allow that to happen. So I am perfectly okay with having stock photos in my Disney albums because they're amazing photos. So now that I rambled on, let's get back to the layout. I decided to add a little bit of white paint to the edge of these photos. I didn't want to mat these on white cardstock. I just wanted to give it a little bit of edge to set it off from the photo next to it. These photos are so good and there's so much detail in them, but because they are taken at night, they are a little bit darker, especially around the edges when you can see the night sky. So on the left-hand side of the layout, I have 3 photos of Mickey and Minnie on the float. Then on the right-hand side, I will have a photo of all of the characters that were a part of the parade, and then a photo of Mickey blowing a kiss. So I get the right-hand side of the photos down, and then I line up the left-hand side of the photos. The sketch calls for the photos to go straight across both sides of the layout. Once I got some of the photos down, I realized that the polka dotted paper was a little bit further out than the stripe paper. So I did pull up the word paper just a little bit and used my T-square ruler as well as an X-Acto knife just to paper shave a little bit of that polka dotted paper to make sure that everything lined up. And of course I had to do it on both sides of the layout. Once I finished that and went to put the photo down, I realized that I had put the photo in the wrong place. I wanted Mickey blowing the kiss on the far right so that on the left-hand side I could have 3 photos of the same float. There's one photo of both Mickey and Minnie looking straight ahead. Then there's one photo of Minnie and Mickey looking at each other. And then there's one photo of Mickey and Minnie looking in the opposite direction, waving at the crowd. I then pulled out this chipboard piece that says Mary, and that's going to be part of my title. And then over on the left-hand side, I added the most magical place ever, because Disney is definitely a magical place. And then in the upper left-hand corner, I added a banner that has all types of banner shapes. I pulled out the embellishment pieces for this collection and just started to fill in my clusters. Over on the far right-hand side, I added a present as well as a blue arrow and a pink heart. And then on the left-hand side of the layout, I added a heart in the black polka dots. Then I started to create a cluster down below the bottom photos, but I tried out a couple of different things and I just didn't like any of it, so I actually forego having a cluster there. I pulled out my letter dies because I am going to beef up my title for that chipboard piece. That chipboard piece is going to be the focal point, but my title is going to be A Very Merry Christmas. So using that Merry as the chipboard piece and then making dickers in the word Christmas and a very. I know that Christmas is supposed to be capitalized, but when I added the C next to the H, it didn't look right. So I just went ahead and used a lowercase c. I put the dies on my layout just to make sure that they would fit, and they actually fit perfectly in that spot. So I'm just using scraps of white paper to cut out my back layers. I'm going to cut out 2 layers in the white cardstock, and then I'm going to pull out the pink cardstock for my top layer. I was trying to use as little paper as possible, but with the swirls of that H, it was just a little too big. So I had to kind of angle it on that strip of paper. And I did go ahead and put some washi tape on it so that it made sure that it didn't move. I then pulled out a silhouette mat that I have cut down to help keep the pieces in place. Nicole recently did a video, and I'll link it here, about how she creates stickers. And it is an amazing tutorial on the tools that you're going to need, as well as how to create the dickers. But I just wanted to walk through my process, which is pretty much the same as Nicole's. I put my first layer down on the silhouette mat and then add the second white layer. Then I'm going to add my colored cardstock, which in this case is pink. This tool that I'm using is a tool that Nicole recommended. The one that she has was sold out, so I did have to get another one, but it's very similar to hers. On one side, it has this wax that helps you pick up the pieces and lay them down. And then the other side is almost like a poker tool. It's a very fine tip. The one Nicole uses has more of a ball on the edge, which I think might be a little easier to use, but I'm enjoying using this one as well. The pointer side helps me move the pieces around on the liquid glue so that they line up perfectly. You can see I'm using the wax side to pick up the pieces and add them on top of the letters on the mat. And then I flip the tool over and use the pointer side to move the letters around so that they line up perfectly. This is only the second layout that I've made dickers with, and I'm really enjoying it. I feel like it does give it a little bit of a different feel than I would get from my silhouette. The thickers just feel different, and it can't really explain it. It's one of those things that you actually have to experience to understand it, but I will tell you there is a difference. While you can do this with your silhouette, it's just a different look and feel that the dies give you. So once I got the word Christmas completed, I wanted to do the word a very in like a scripty font. So my title is actually going to have 3 fonts. The a very in that scripty font. I have the word Merry in a chipboard, and then the word Christmas in that more block font, but also has the script to some of the letters. And I will tell you that that font that the word Christmas is written in is probably my favorite. I am just loving the way that that looks. So once I get everything glued down, I then transfer it from my mat onto my layout. You can absolutely use your mat to figure out exactly where you want your letters to go, but I just moved it around on my layout. I was really struggling with a very because I wanted the Y to loop down into the word Merry. But I do eventually find a place for it to fit. The Y does loop down into the M part of the word Merry. As I was editing this video, I realized that I probably did not do the S's in the word Christmas correctly. I put the swirls of the S's flush to the bottom of the other words, but looking at it as I was editing the video, I realized that the letter M and A swoop down, and I think the S is supposed to also swoop down because they do sit taller than the other letters, even the letter T, but I'm just going with it. I add the Merry down with my glue press and then add the word very on top of it with that Y looping down into the M. And then I added the A next to it. I put my stamp block on top of it to give it a little bit of weight while that glue dried. Then I started working on the clusters. Over on the right hand side, I do put that present up on fun foam, and I put the blue arrow underneath it. So the present does overlap the blue arrow just a little bit. I then put some liquid adhesive on my banner and add that to the top left, as well as some liquid adhesive on the most magical place ever. Then added both the black polka dotted heart and the pink heart over to the far left. I felt like I needed to fill in that space next to the word Merry, so I looked through the embellishment pieces and I pulled out an ornament, and I really liked that, but it was just a little off. Pulled out a different ornament as well as a candy cane, but I do finally settle on a present. I had to pull out the packaging to see exactly how the present was supposed to go. It probably could have gone anyway, but the bow just didn't look right. I did add that up on fun foam as well. And then I added a little Santa hat to the letter Y. I pulled out my color boxes in green and added some green hearts to each one of the clusters. And then I still haven't put these freckled fawn hearts away yet, so I pulled those out and added some blue as well as pink and red hearts. My journaling just says Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Time Parade is the parade for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. It brings snowfall and cheer to Main Street, USA. I moved the journaling around a couple of times trying to figure out where I wanted it, but I do eventually add it to the top next to that banner. I do put the journaling down flat. I don't put it up on the foam adhesive or triple stack it like I normally do. I felt like with the busy background, I just needed something flat to the layout. I thought that adding a couple of extra hearts to that area as well, just to beef up that cluster. And then that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. I hope you guys are enjoying this Christmas in July and all of these Disney layouts that I am bringing to you. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.